my point is, don't be discouraged by the fact that sometimes you're going to end up with too much of something or too little of something else. This is how you learn. This is how you, and when you make mistakes, it's going to happen. Don't
Right.
lose your mind over it. That's my point.
Welcome to the Charcuterie and Cottage Biz podcast, the show for makers, bakers, and food creators ready to turn their kitchen skills into real income without all the overwhelm. We're your hosts, Andrea and Patty, the Grazing Biz sisters, a professionally trained chef and a multi-million-dollar marketing strategist with over 60 years combined experience helping entrepreneurs start, price, market, and grow profitable food businesses. Whether it's a side hustle or a full-time dream, you're in the right place. Now, let's start the show. Hey, we're back. Welcome back to the Charcuterie and Charcuterie. I don't know why I never say
That's not right. That's
Charcuterie and Cottage. Every time I have to say the name of this podcast, I cannot get it out of my mouth. Anyway, the Charcuterie and Cottage Biz podcast.
charcuterie, cooties.
Actually, it's funny. I'm making some new website templates, and I just happen to notice I actually spelled it charcuterie. So maybe that's what's
That's
going on, stuck
so
in my
not right.
brain. Well, we're back. We're back. I am fighting a cold, so if you hear me, try not to cough and blow my nose in your ear. But we
Oh,
definitely had time
heck.
today to get on together. As some of you may or may not realize, we have grandkids and moms, and we have our mom, and just there's a lot been going on. So when we can finally get together,
Hmm.
we try to knock it out whether we're sick or not. So here we are. Anyway, I'm
I
feeling
know.
okay. I just a little snotty.
Hmm.
So what's happening? What have you been up to other
Well,
than
I know.
camping?
So, other than everything else, Mother's Day, everybody out there, happy Mother's Day. That
Yeah,
belated
happy
to those
Mother's
that are
Day.
listening and are mothers, whether you're cat moms, dog moms, people moms, whatever you are.
Yeah,
Happy
grandmoms.
Mother's Day. Yeah,
Yeah,
grandmoms. We went camping with our 90-year-old mother. That was
yeah,
good times. It was really fun. I'm not saying that negatively.
yeah.
A little bit of work, but it was really fun. Mom was a trooper. We went high altitude, so she was struggling a little bit there, but it was still really fun. It was nice to
Yeah.
spend time with all of our family was there that's local, and yeah, so it was really fun.
We'll put a picture in of mom making fry bread in the woods. So
Oh
for
yeah,
those of
yeah.
you who don't know our background, our mother is half Native American, a registered tribe up in the Wisconsin area, the Ho-Chunk Nation. And so we grew up of mom making fry bread, and it's just been amazing. And so everywhere we go, she'll make
Hmm.
it. She's made it out in the woods. One of the funny stories is she made it in Sedona, out it
Yeah.
was kind of out in the trees and stuff, and the dead bird, not a dead bird, a baby bird, fell out of a
Oh yeah,
tree
that's
and
right. I
almost
forgot about
landed in the hot grease, but instead it
that's
landed in the butter, because we're always outside a lot of times.
sick.
And that time she made it in, oh my God, she brought along a fry pan, and she made it in like one of the oldest hotels in Manhattan, and the window only
Hmm.
opened like this much. And I know we weren't allowed to be cooking in there, but it was it's great. Whole place smelled like grease.
I
Anyway,
had her.
you
I had her doing it in Brussels too, in my little teeny kitchens that you have in Belgium. Yeah, she was over there doing it. I don't think I ever had her do it in Paris. The many times that we went, I don't think I
uh,
attempted that one, but yeah, she's been all over the world making fry
she's
bread.
made it everyone.
So,
We always get a picture of her wherever she's at. Anyway,
mhm.
it was good. They turned out great. I actually made the dough this time, but although I heard her before and we made her do the frying, but I heard her before we started saying to some other family member, "Well, I don't know how it's going to turn out. Patty made the dough." I'm like, "Oh
Yeah.
God,
And she
poor."
doesn't say it nicely either, which
No,
is really disappointing. You'd think she'd be supportive, but no, our mom is like
no,
a little
she's
bit of
not.
the opposite of that. We love her to death, but she can be very critical. And so therefore you
Yeah,
wonder why the both of us are the way we are. But uh
yeah, I know.
yeah, it was still fun. Everything was tasty. I thought the bread turned out perfect. Could have
Yeah,
been
I
the
thought
altitude that did it, but
I
I
think
thought it
so.
was great because
Me
I ended
too.
up taking over because mom can only stand for so long. So I get hollered at to go over there and fry bread. So that's what I was doing.
Hmm.
Uh, anyway, it was still really fun for
We
all
just had
of
a good
you.
time.
Take a look at our picture. We're just being goofy. hanging out on Mother's Day and camping because I
Yeah.
bought a new camper and we really wanted to
Yeah.
go camping. So it was
Yay.
fun. It was really fun. Other than that, we've been busy. We've had a big gig that we did. I don't know if we did a podcast in between then and
We
now, but that
didn't.
one
We
was
didn't.
fairly big. Then Patty's got her gigs that she's been doing in between, and I've just been just busy. I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm busy like every day. So
Yeah.
trying to get ready
Yeah.
for a big craft show that's coming in June in between everything else. So anywho, sorry we missed you guys.
Yeah.
We
Yeah. Well,
hope
we do what we can, and I think we're
we try to be
helping
regular.
try to be
Yeah.
regular. Um, well, today, because Andrew hit on it, we did a big one of the other reasons we were kind of haven't been on because out of the
Yeah.
blue we got a big gig a couple weeks ago that was for a local party that a house party that was going on of 50 people. I think we might have mentioned it at the last podcast episode we had, but so we threw together, gosh, what was it? Like for 50 or so people that were at this
Yeah.
house party that came in from all over the country. So they asked us, we were hired by a local catering company to take on the little bites type food. So we were busy with that. That was kind of a
Mm-hmm.
lot. We did a lot of that, but it was, and I mean, it was good. I think it turned out well. They were happy. We went on what their menu was and
Mm-hmm.
put together a couple of things in a few days. But since then, also got another offer to put a 25-person grazing table together this weekend. And I thought today we would just talk about prepping for that. I thought I was going to be out of town, so I was going to prep it all and leave it here at the house so Andrew could come down from northern Arizona to go set it up. But it turns out we're not going anywhere because partly Patty's sick, but
Mm-hmm.
also just kind of figuring out like what's easiest. So I think today's focus should be on the easiest way to put together a grazing table for 25 to 50 people, whatever. It really doesn't matter, I guess. But we've done a podcast with over 150 people talking about it, but this one's a smaller one. And I think there's a good chance many of us might get better, get more of these kind of smaller type gigs, small party types. Turns out this particular event is real simple. It's just it's a new housing community that just rolled out and they're doing some sort of, kind of an open house. And it's so new that there's not that many people that are going to show up. So there's only be like 25 people. So today we're just going to talk about prepping for that and because I've got to shop. I was going to do it today, so it's on Saturday. That's 2 days from today, by the way. I haven't shopped. I'm not going to shop till tomorrow, to be honest with you, because of the timing of it and the size of it.
Mm-hmm.
And from talking with you, Andrea, I mean, I have some stuff some frozen cheese that was never touched that I threw in the freezer, which reminds me I got to get out there and get that out of there. But what am I doing to prep for this? And so that I don't have to, so really, I don't want to have to go and set this up, for hours on, and not that it would take hours, but on and at the event. So we're going to go back to what we did at the wedding a couple months ago. Hey friends, it's Patty here. Before we get back into the episode, I've got something really tasty for you. If you're dreaming about starting or growing your home-based food or charcuterie business, we've put together a whole bundle of free resources just for you, including calculators, marketing guides, AI prompts, our free Facebook group, everything you need to get yourself up and running as fast as possible. Oh, and don't miss our free webinar training on how to launch your business the smart way. You can grab it all at grazingbiz.com/resources. That is grazingbiz.com/resources. Oh, and if you're loving the value we bring you each week, do me a huge favor. Make sure to follow the show, hit us up with a 5-star rating, and share this podcast with someone who needs a little nudge to start their own food business journey. Your thoughtful follow and ratings help move our little podcast up the ranks of podcast land and gives us even more incentive to keep providing you even more food business success tips, advice, and resources. Thanks so much. We appreciate you. Alrighty, let's dive back into the rest of the podcast. and put together the cake boxes. So if you haven't, I'll put a picture. I was waiting for them to show up because I had to order some new ones. I'm waiting for Amazon to deliver, but I don't haven't seen them yet. Um, so otherwise have them. But our goal, I think, and I was talking to you about the number of cake boxes you think I should have. So these boxes that I purchased, I chose not to go really large with these things because it's not a huge event, but I also worry because they're so big. If you get them too
Mhm.
big, they can tend to get floppy and things will roll all over the place. And I thought maybe if I kept them at the same size, which
Mhm.
by the way is 14 by 10 by about 3 inches deep. Um, and I think you could give some feedback on that because when we first did the wedding a couple months ago, I was concerned that the boxes were too small and it was too much work. But in the end, they actually worked out being a great size because we could travel with them way easier. This and
Right.
14 sounds like a lot, but they're really not that big. It's just a little over a foot, right?
Right.
But what can you say about, okay, so what we do is let me just back it up a little. We set up all of the boxes and we build the boards that we're going to lay out on the counter. In this case, it's going to be a counter in one of the houses. It's going to be like an island kitchen, I think we're putting it on. But the question is, well, my thing is how when we were building this the first time in those boxes, what was your initial thought process? I mean, when I was trying to explain to you what we were doing,
Well,
and then when you built them, because you were building a lot and I was building a few, what was your feedback on that? Just the good and the bad about doing it in a box like that, in
right,
a cake
right.
box.
So I know that Patty had gone back and forth. She had proposed this situation of putting them together in the boxes and then you slide them out. So you put parchment paper inside the box and then you can just slide them out into whatever form you want them to be on the table. And I hope we can put a video
We
or
will.
something so we can show how we did
Yeah.
that. This is not a new concept. It's something we saw online and thought we would try it because we were all part of the wedding that we were in, that we were making this thing. So it had to be fast. And so the night before we were up, making these boxes. Now, Patty, when she first got a hold of me and told me what she was doing, she was worried the boxes were too small. And I said, no, I think they're perfect because if you have them too big and you load them up with, cheese is heavy, salami's heavy, all
Yeah, it
that
adds up.
stuff is heavy. And I was worried those bigger boxes, which now that I've seen them, not that we used big boxes because we didn't, but we used like what is basically a half sheet, or I think it was a half sheet
Yeah.
pan of a box that you would make a half sheet cake out of. And it was perfect because if it had been any bigger than that, the box would have collapsed. So and also our other dilemma after we realized it, which was perfect, was that they fit in the coolers that we had
Right.
perfectly. So
Yeah.
if we had them any bigger than that, you'd have to get like a pizza bag, like a pizza bag type of a cooler, and you'd have to have 100 of those. These were actually stackable because of the way I did a balance of heavy stuff with light stuff in each box and then balanced them out so they wouldn't be super duper heavy. So we could actually put two or
Right.
three on top of each other to transport them and then have the cooler packs off to the side. They didn't have to go that far, but the whole thing is you got to have room in whatever fridge you've designated for this, and you have to have room
Yeah.
especially to get them to transport. In our case, it was freaking, when was that? It was like February or something, and we had
Yeah.
90-degree weather that
It was
day,
still warm. Yeah, it was
which
warm
it
at the
was
end of February.
ridiculous. We had like a
Yeah.
bad heat wave that weekend. So we
We
really had
did.
to pay attention. It's ridiculous. So we had to really pay attention to how we were transporting it, even though it didn't have to go that far. But
Yeah.
it was far enough in 90-degree weather that we were worried. So, with that being said, these size boxes, I would prefer those size boxes or smaller to get them where they need to go. So we put the parchment paper inside with a little lip, you'll see in the videos, a little lip that we could grab the paper and pull it out, put it in place, and then pull it out of the box. And it was really, I mean, I wish I would have known these things ages ago.
Yeah.
So whoever came up with that concept, kudos to you because it worked.
Yeah.
And now the only thing was we did it all on flat surfaces. What I would have, because I'm just that way, I would have liked to had tiered things, more tiered things. So I think in the future, one of the thought processes would be to create maybe some flat pieces of wood or something to make it so we can dump them onto higher, higher elevated things where people could reach it better. Do you see what
Yeah,
I mean?
the boxes themselves didn't fit on anything that we did bring that was
Right.
elevated for that wedding. Now
Right.
this one is, so the difference is you've got a flat, what they call a flat lay, or like an elevated lay. And so I think from my experience that people will charge more for the elevated versions
For
because
sure.
you're bringing things to get them up off, so you've
Right.
got, in this case it's going to be a simple flat lay for the weekend, so I'm not worried about it. So for
Right.
25 people, let's talk about how much we need to buy, and then we'll talk about what I've charged. But let's just talk about some of the ingredients that are for a simple thing like this. This is a daytime thing. It's from all now, so we have to talk about that because when you're considering when you take a job like this, you want to ask a lot of important questions from the venue, right? So what else? In this case, this is the only thing being served, but it's also just snacks. It's not like they're going to be there having lunch and doing other things. They're just
Mhm.
there to just for a little open house kind of thing. But if you're doing an event that there might be other food there, or what time of day is it? Are you the only thing there if it's dinner time? So what you put in this is going to be important, right? So for me, because it's 11 o'clock to 1, it's literally 2 hours of
Mhm.
snacky food. I'm not going too crazy. I mean, so
I
hence
wouldn't.
why I'm not shopping till tomorrow, partly because I have a lot of this stuff in the freezer that from previous. Um, but so what is your thought though, as far as like, okay, and I'm kind of looking at a box size, knowing that, okay, I'm gonna have 25 people there. If I did one box of 14 by 10 by, 14 by 10 of just put everything in it that I wanted to put, and we'll talk about what we'll put in a minute, but how many people do you think one box would serve? Just out of curiosity.
I would say it's going to feed about six of that half cake size. And that's including the fact that if you only did one of them, you'd be putting, the fillers like the nuts and the things like
Yeah,
that, which
other
are
stuff
filled in
around.
between. So, maybe six.
Yeah,
I would say your total party size, you're going to end up with four of them somewhere in that neighborhood because you've got all the fillers that so when I say fillers, you're going to lay these things out, the
right.
boxes out in their with their paper underneath, and then once you do that, they're never right next to each other. So you need to have whatever it is you're going to use, fruit, herbs.
Crackers.
I don't know, whatever crackers are going to go in between to mask the part that is in between the boxes. So, you've got that filler stuff that also is going to create more servings and with that said, by the time you get done with it, you're easily going to be 3 to 4 boxes in to do a 2 hour an event, to make it worthwhile for the customer. Personally, I know that we talked about this. I would have just done one large tray, but this lady insisted on a grazing table, which
Yeah,
therefore it's all good. You're just going to pay a little bit more and you're probably going to have some leftovers. So good for her.
right.
But that's how I would have thought about it. Now again, this is just me knowing in general how much something's going to serve for a certain number of people for a certain amount of time, and that's just my experience knowing what it should look like. But for other people, you're going to want to start off learning how to do it. And so we have our calculator, which is 2 ounces, 3 ounces of this and 1 ounce of that and blah blah
Right.
blah. And so that helps you determine your
How much to buy?
how much to buy. And here's the thing, every time you do an event, don't be discouraged by the fact that maybe you bought too much or maybe you bought too little. The reality is until you get your feet wet, and even me, I mean, I bought, extra mozzarella. We're still eating mozzarella to this
Yeah.
day. We brought mozzarella.
Yeah, me too.
So,
I
like
still have
certain
some.
things, I know. So,
Yeah.
certain things, you're kind of working it out in your head and going, well, and then you start to panic because you think you're not going to have enough. Now, mozzarella in this case on our last thing was just, I bought too much because we had a bunch of sandwiches. It's hard to explain, but we had a bunch of cheese
Sandwiches
sandwiches
and
and
things
things that
ready.
I had to make. And so I had to make adjustments because of that. And I didn't create this event. So part of that is just not really knowing for sure what the hell we were serving. But in the end, it all worked out. But you don't, my point is, don't be discouraged by the fact that sometimes you're going to end up with too much of something or too little of something else. This is how you learn. This is how you, and when you make mistakes, it's going to happen. Don't
Right.
lose your mind over it. That's my point. Don't
Right.
be like, I don't know what I'm
So
doing, I'm an idiot kind of
yeah,
thing.
well, I mean, it happens because you got to kind of
It
plan.
does.
You got to do it so that you can kind of get a visual too, which is happening as time's going by. I'm going, oh yeah, I know
Right.
I am not going to overshop tomorrow. In fact, I told myself, or I told you, that I hope I
Yeah.
don't spend more than a couple $100 on this event, and I don't see a reason to need to. I am already committed
Right.
to plates and napkins and things, but those things are minor because I already got them. But the bottom line is like guaranteed most of the time you're going to think I'm not going to buy enough, so you end up buying more, and guaranteed you
Right.
won't use it all. And that's my experience so far. And on another note is that they originally wanted me to bring the charcuterie cart over, and I said, I think that's going to be overkill for 25 people.
Hmm.
Not only do you not need me there for 25 people on a charcuterie cart, because I don't think I would ever, unless they wanted to pay me an arm and a leg to be there for that. I see no reason to do a charcuterie cart for 25 people. I just
Yeah.
didn't, and I talked
It's
them
too
out of it.
small.
It's
Yeah.
too small.
Yeah.
Plus, they'd have to pay for me to be standing around there. So for me,
Yeah.
the
Right.
flat lay is good because I can just roll this thing out, lay it all up, and leave, and they can chuck it all in the trash for all I care afterwards because it's all on paper for the most part. Um, so the cart went to the wayside, and now I'm thinking, all right, 4 to 5 boxes that I need to plan to make. So let's talk about setting these boxes up and basically what's in them. When I created my first one, kind of as a prototype when we did it for the wedding, I put a lot of different things in it. And then when you made yours, because I had to go out for the rehearsal dinner that night. But when I came back, you had done mostly cheese in one box and mostly meat in one box. And I actually thought at first going, oh, that's kind of weird. But then I thought, no, when it laid out, it actually was really wonderful because you had all the cheeses in one spot.
Right.
And I loved that.
Right.
By the time it was done, it made a
So,
ton of sense. So tell us
so
about
the
your
thought,
thought process.
right. The thought process behind that was we had a double-sided table where people were coming down both sides of the table. Okay.
Right.
So you don't want these people getting cheated and these people getting something, like you want both sides to be exactly the same. So what I did was I planned out in my head, I have to make two
Yeah.
with the same salamis, with the same cheeses, with the same everything. So everything looked almost exactly identical. And so when we went to lay it out, each side got equal parts
Hmm.
of the same stuff. And then I had maybe one or two boxes at the end that were just, higgly piggly because that was what was left over and that we
Leftovers.
bought it. So we were just like, let's just throw it out there. So those few boxes were like, whatever. But for the most part, the whole thing looked even from start to finish. So no matter what side they went on, they were getting the same thing because the last thing you want to do is have people looking over their thing and going, well, I want the artichokes on that side. And then you create this whole cluster of people. See, the way I've always worked it, whether I'm doing 20 people, whether I'm doing 1,000 people, and yes, I have done 1,000 people, 2,000 people events in my lifetime. When you
Yikes.
do that, you have a buffet or something like that. The last thing you want to do is have people doubling back. It's okay for
Yeah.
them to come back later when it's their turn to get left, whatever's left over. But you want the first run, everybody getting exactly the same options
Hmm.
so that you don't have them going, oh, well, now let me cut in there, going around the back and cutting in and being a pain. It's called traffic flow. So you want to keep everything even and equal on both sides. And that's where
Okay.
it came from. And Patty came back and she was like, wow, I remember the look on your face because you thought they were all going to look the same. but they
Hmm.
weren't. And it's because of that.
Yeah.
In my
And
buffet
in the end,
planning
yeah,
past,
and
you
in the
want
end,
it
it
to be
worked
all the
out
same.
well. I mean, I
Yeah.
liked it because the cheeses were all combined in one, to be honest with you. And the other thing I'm finding is like, because I made, okay, so another thing I did, which you guys haven't heard about, but I actually taught a class, and I made them all buy their own food, by the way. So that was a whole nother thing, which I'll talk about maybe in a future podcast. But I taught a class and said, well, I can either provide all the food for this price, or I can send you a menu over. Anyway, what happened is I brought my own food so that they had their own food, but I brought my own food and I set it up. But then when I set it up, and by the time I got it home, because I had to do something with it, I took it home. I gave it to one of my clients actually. But by the time I got it home, some of the stuff was starting to bleed onto each other, and that worries me. Like the
Yeah.
fruits and whatever. I mean, even the sausage was like bleeding. I don't even know. Is that? I don't even.
No,
It
that's
just
not
like.
possible.
Well,
That's
I
not
don't
right.
mean like bleeding. I just mean like it left a mark. you know. And it was kind of like.
I don't know what you use. So,
Well,
I don't know,
it was just
chorizo or something.
was no, but it was just it like left a mark under the cheese, I guess is my point. So how you the fresher when you're setting it up, the better. Obviously, the
Right.
sooner you can deliver it and serve it, the better. So now we talk about the items that we're putting into it. So we've got, the standard breeze, and I have some camembert out there. I have some what's that smoky stuff I was talking to you over the weekend? I don't
Yeah.
like.
It's
Oh,
not smoked Gouda. It's not
Gouda,
smoked
yeah.
Gouda,
No, I know,
but
but I'm
it's
just
not
saying,
smoked because I don't
okay,
like smoked.
Gouda,
Regular
cheddar,
Gouda.
yeah. But you're dealing with, and then I also had what is that? Goat cheese. So we have like a
Oh, yeah.
soft goat cheese. So what are you doing with that? So anyway, I've got all these type items that I want to stick on this table. So I'm probably going to separate them out a little bit in this case because I'm only doing 4 or 5 boxes. It's not going to be. And by the time it's said and done, I just told them they have to supply at least a 4 to 6 foot size space for me to put this on. Because
Right.
let's say 4 boxes, when you do the filler, which is nuts, fruits, maybe you add some,
Crackers, bread. Yeah.
whatever. Yeah. Or maybe some greenery, whatever you're going to do for the
Yeah.
greenery. And by the way, I'm going to bring this up again. I saw someone in one of the groups talking about, oh, I need to go buy some edible flowers and where can you get them? And people are going on and on. I don't know what it is with those things. I don't like the idea of spending money on something people can't eat like that.
Right.
And
And
you're
I
going out,
concur. Right.
and you can make your own stinking flowers. I think one of the most beautiful things, and I'm going to do this, is go and there's a golden kiwi and a green kiwi, and then something red like if you want to find some, if you can find them. We have terrible strawberries around here, but if you can find strawberries or something to add a little color, green grapes, red grapes. But as far as
Yeah.
the flowers go, you can, zag, what do you call it when you do this with the cut on the
Yeah, you do the little zigzag cut and
zigzag
make
cut?
like a cup looking thing.
Open it
And
up
right.
halfway, flip it up. Now it looks like a flower, and they can actually eat that.
And they can eat it.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah,
I
I
agree with
just,
you. I'm 100% on that. For those of you who feel compelled to spend what is actually a fortune to buy
yeah,
flowers, at least in our neck in the woods, because we live in Arizona, and I think it's pretty much true across the board. Orchids and things like that are all edible, but the reality is nobody can eat them. They tend
somebody
to
will
get
eat
on
them.
the plate. Yeah, they won't eat them. And they tend to get on the table, and they're not going to make it an hour because they'll start to wilt, and then they just look like this drabby looking thing.
Yeah,
Now you can replace that with rosemary, is the hardiest of all, rosemary and sages and the different kinds of sages, and not green basil, because that won't hold up. It's basically like a flower. The leaves are so fragile. But one of the things that does work is Asian purple basil. That will hold up on a table. You can also, if I don't know if we've talked about it or whether I have it anywhere for people to visually see, but the other thing you can do is make really cool green leaves out of out of leeks,
oh
the
yeah,
the green
yeah,
part of the leeks. So those types of things just make a hell of a lot more sense than putting something like a very expensive flour, which at the end of the day, your food cost is going to go through the roof trying to make that happen. The goal here is to try to make everything so you make money. This is the whole reason we're doing this. I mean, yes,
Right.
it's fun. Yes, it's exciting, but please keep in mind your costs, because that just drives me nuts when I see people making all sorts of nutty things and then not charging enough. So therefore, you're really not making a ton off of it. You're having a great time, but the whole goal here is to make a business out of this and make money off of
Right.
it. So please, be have your wherewithal on that, because you go to Restaurant Depot and they do sell a huge box of edible flowers. They look cool, but they're not a practical, cost effective way to decorate your table. In fact, I would prefer, if you really are hung up on flowers, get some nice ones from Hobby Lobby or wherever, the nice silk ones they have
Mm,
there, and keep using them over and over again and keep them clean, and you just got to wipe them down good with some wipes or whatever, and use those if you're really hung up. That
yeah.
way, it's part of your production, it's part of your equipment.
Right.
And that makes sense to me. And you can also change those seasonally as long as
Yeah.
they can be cleaned.
That's a good
So,
idea. Yeah. And I guess it also depends on the theme and or if it's
mhm,
indoor or outdoor, if it's a wedding, if it's,
sure.
anniversary, whatever it is, as far as decorating goes. But as far as the food that you put on there too, okay, so in this case, they didn't tell me what they wanted. In fact, they didn't know. They just said, "Hey, we need that." And so
Right.
I just am going to use all the same stuff that I've used over and over in the past, from, what we've had in carts before, what we know is popular. If they don't
Yeah.
say, and unless they say, and they've got a certain, they want, level of whatever it is, if you need to go out and buy extra, you had to buy a couple of extra things, extra more fancy things at that last event that we did, because
Hmm.
they wanted that. But if they don't, then, put together exactly what you would normally do, probably in a cart if you're doing that, or just what's kind of standard. And there's so many ways to watch videos and see what other people are doing and get ideas for
Hmm.
cheese design and all of that. And I even today saved something because I can quickly look at it and get a quick idea of, oh yeah, that's a great way to lay out the cheese. In fact, I saw somebody today, how you can take the cheese that has the wax outside on it, cut
Yeah.
and I saw them actually cut it in half this time, and they just tuck the cheese up on one side and the other half will go on another part of the
Okay.
board. So that's cool because I'm going to do that. And it's just far as decorate, cutting it up and all of that, and putting it in there differently so it looks different here and there. So one of the questions I saw in one of the groups was, how far in advance can we cut up the cheese and make the salami roses? Now I know the answer, but I want you to respond. Cut up the cheese, make the salami roses so we can do stuff in advance, especially if we have a bigger event. How far in
Hmm.
advance for some of these things, and what can we expect if we set something up tonight, and what's going to happen? What's it going to happen? What's going to look like tomorrow when we have to
Hmm.
deliver it if we do things tonight? I can say on my end, we didn't start doing any setup or any prep until the day before. We
Yeah.
certainly we shopped 2 days ahead of time. We did the prep the day before. I wouldn't recommend outside of that, but explain a little bit as far as, okay, can we cut up cheese ahead of time? Tell us about that.
Yeah. You hit it right there on the head, is that you really don't want to, and so for your timing purposes, you really don't want to do anything until the day before. Ideally, for even smaller events, let's say I was throwing together a small 10-person cheese board, or charcuterie board, I would do it the day of, so because it doesn't take me that long, and the more you do it, the more you get used to it. But for something like yours, I wouldn't do it until the day before. And one of the biggest tricks to literally anything you do is buying the commercial plastic wrap, which I was hounding Patty about the last
Yeah.
one of the events we had recently. I carry my plastic wrap around with me everywhere. I buy it just for my home, because the like, what is it, saran wrap sucks. It sucks. You
Yeah.
can't do anything with it. And so commercial plastic wrap will literally stick to itself, stick to everything else. You can push it on. The goal is to try to keep the amount of air away from the cheese. So let's say you cut it up and then you need to do something with it. So you put it on the board. I will sometimes wrap more plastic wrap around the cheese that's chopped up, so, like, let's say cheddar slices, whether they're in quarters or they're triangular or whatever it is you're doing, I will push a little bit of plastic wrap on top of that and then wrap the whole thing in plastic wrap again, because cheddar, the hard cheeses get that weird dryness on the
Yeah.
corners and then they start to curl up and it's kind of gross. If they still taste the same, it doesn't affect the taste. It just
Not
it
look good.
affects it just doesn't look good, when it's
Yeah.
all dried out and it starts to do that weird folding thing that it does. And then, so you just want to use the plastic wrap to your advantage and just use the crap out of it. Wrap everything you think is you're worried about. So with salami roses, those definitely can be done 2 days ahead of time
And
if
put
you
them in
are
a
worried about it.
container,
Yeah, and put them in a
sealed.
container. They'll hold. Yeah,
Yeah.
they will hold. Salami is very, very, long term. It can go a long ways as long as you're keeping it cold. Obviously, it's not going to do anything weird. It's not going to fold up. It's not going to, it's meat and fat,
Right.
so it's going to hold really well. Don't be scared of that. And the same thing goes for, like, if you do the ham and the weird little things, like little wavy pieces. I don't know what you call that. If you're
Oh,
going to do
like the
decorations
rivers.
and stuff,
Yeah.
yeah, like the little rivers of ribbons, the
So
ribbons, that's it.
recommendations from my experience is create the roses. Either you have the plastic cup you can put them in so that they will
Yeah.
hold in shape, or you can and you can just leave them on the board like that, or you can roll them and put a toothpick through them. Now you have to keep in mind though, at a table like this, is because these aren't going to be individual roses for each person to pick up and take away. So
Right.
the more of those, I personally would only make a few of the really large roses if you're going to make them, and then and 'cause knowing that some people just don't want to touch them because they're afraid
Right.
they're going to screw up the
Right.
table. But if you make them so that they're a little bit looser, they'll understand they can use it, but also do a combination of that with like the salami rivers or the different kind of folds that they do. But you can create the rivers and put like skewers through them, and then when you get to the event, you can yank the skewers out. So that would
Yeah.
be my recommend, or the toothpicks holding everything together so that it will stay. And when you're making these things, if you leave the salami out a little bit for a little bit of time, for like 10 or 15 minutes, it'll soften up enough for you to be able to maneuver these things. Because if you try to work
Hmm.
them when they're cold, it's not really cold. They're going to be very hard to manipulate.
Right.
But once you get them done, then you can put them in a container ahead of time. Like we just go out and buy those big, what do size are those
It's a
containers? They're
Dollar
like,
Tree container. It's probably a foot by
yeah, 8,
8 inches or something
yeah, or
like
something.
that. They
Yeah,
they come with lids. The
lids.
lids are, so it's probably 2 inches deep and it fits everything perfectly. So, like, I even put the cheese sandwiches in there and stuff. So there, I don't know how to explain what they are, but if you go to
Just
Dollar Tree, you'll
plastic
find them there.
glad
Don't spend a lot,
containers.
because that way, if you decide to use them to give to your customer as
Yeah,
a leftover bin, you're not spending a lot to do that,
right,
so I've just given it to them,
right.
and it's incorporated in everything else I do anyway. So as far as cost goes, granted, they are $1.25. They might even be $1.50 now at the dollar store, but they
$1.75. Yeah,
are, I know,
yeah,
no, yeah, I think they're $1.25 now. But
yeah,
in any case, it's a cheap way to kind of give your customer, and here you go. Here's your, you can put everything in here if you want.
yeah,
So, but they work great for transporting because they don't smash easily. You can put stuff in there and they all
yeah.
hold
They are
together,
good.
and
And you can get them
they
in a
can go in the
cooler.
freezer. So we
Yeah,
put ours in the freezer with the roses already made at
okay,
some
good.
point. So just
Uh,
little ideas there with
So
that.
as far as stores to shop at, I mean, again, it's really dependent on what's local to you as far as, getting whatever. You can have it
Hmm.
obviously ordered and shipped to your house, but realistically tomorrow I'm going to make a quick trip to Costco to get a couple things. And as far as what I need, and as for me, it's mostly for the cheeses and the sausages because I can get it cheaper
Hmm.
down there and get more. When I say sausage, you mean the salamis or whatever it is you're putting on there. And what else would I get? Maybe for crackers is a good spot for buying those bulk type things, depending on what you're
Yeah.
doing. But otherwise, I got to be honest and tell you, I think I've had the best luck. I mean, I know people say go to Aldi, go to Trader Joe's. Honestly, it depends on how much you're serving, but I really
Right.
honestly believe Walmart had some of the best,
I
and
know.
they have kind of a higher end cheese area you can go into and find the 8 or 6 ounce packages. I think they're 8 ounces
Yeah.
packages of
Yeah.
the brie. If you just want to get smaller ones for a party of this size, is I don't need like massive amounts of 15 roll wheels of
The big roll.
brie.
Yeah. The big
Yeah,
wheel. Yeah.
I don't
No, I
need really big
agree.
ones.
I believe I don't have the only major grocery store I have here is Safeway, which is typically the most expensive of all
Yeah,
the
it is.
stores. But the reality is, does it make sense for me to drive all the way into town for one wedge of brie? Not really.
Yeah,
So by the time I do that, I might as well have, gone to Safeway. So I will go to Safeway if it's a smaller party and just get one wedge of whatever it is.
yeah,
You can also, I know that people don't realize this, but you can go to your deli people and be like, let's say
yeah,
I need a big wedge of Gruyere or whatever, and you can ask them to just cut off, I need this size, and they'll do it for you. They'll do
yeah,
it. They don't mind. They really don't mind. And that's one way of saving some money is doing it that way. So, get creative about your shopping. And I keep telling people, don't drive all over town. Trader Joe's is awesome, but it is not meant for
bulk
party prepping,
purchases.
party, yeah. And Aldi is also, again, if you're doing smaller parties, Aldi's great. Otherwise, you're going to buy 100 of little wedges of whatever it is you're going to buy there. The prices are still reasonable there, but it's not cost effective. And please don't drive all over town. I will say that Costco for most people is probably going to be your best bet. Make your
Hmm.
menu work around Costco. And if you do that, you'll never get yourself into trouble. Um, because most of, like I don't have a restaurant depot here. I don't have a Smart and Final here. Not that I would use Smart and Final because I think it's kind of expensive, but they have the little portion cups and things like that. Those you can also order on Amazon, have them delivered to your
Yeah,
door.
plan in
The
advance.
trays, the bamboo trays, have them delivered to your door. I know a lot of people are against Amazon and all of the Bezos crap, but the reality is you got to make your business work, and
Yeah.
you don't get hung up in the political end of that.
Too much if you can
So
help it. Yeah, that's
if you
totally
can
up to
help
you.
it.
We're not going to tell them what
Yeah,
to
that's
do on
totally
that,
up to
but
you. But I'm just saying, be cost effective about it. Don't drive all over town. See
yeah,
what you'll get used to it. I actually make myself a list. Like these are all the places where I can get all the things that are applying to my menu. This is where I'm going to get my portion cups. In my case, I have other craft things that I do. So I have lists of where to order all the stuff from so I don't get confused in my head. And I do see a lot of people being like, I had to drive, I had to spend all day yesterday for some 25-person party driving all over town. Well, that's not time well
yeah.
spent.
No, it's not because you have to count the amount of time you're spending as part of the
Right.
cost of doing your business and then what passing that off. And if you're spending
Right.
hours on end driving all over the place, on top of the fact that the gas is expensive, your time is
Yeah.
worth a ton, right? So that doesn't make a lot
Hmm.
of sense for sure. How do we prevent overbuying then? Because we're always kind of worried about that because I don't know how much to get, and I'm afraid I'm not going to have enough, and then they're going to be mad if I run out. I can tell you every event we've done, we have not run out. We have been far from running out, and so I think just to like give us a little bit of tips on how do we prevent ourselves from overspending and overbuying, and then what happens, you know?
Well, you have to, again, this is going to be experience. I mean, we can tell you a million times over, but we do have the calculator when it comes down to
Yeah.
stuff like this. That
Links
what
in
that
the show notes, by
really,
the way.
yeah,
Yeah.
that is one of the things that will help you get a good base and a good grip on your, cost and how much you need to buy for every every event that you do. But a lot of that also comes down to asking the right questions. Like you said earlier, am I the only, is my grazing table or my charcuterie board or whatever it is you're making, is that the only food that's going to be served at that particular moment in time? If there's other things coming out, well, then maybe you don't need to make as much because there's already going to be, two big, huge things of cocktail shrimp or whatever. So you just need to you need to be asking the right questions too on top of all of that. Because
Right.
you can still charge appropriately. So whether it be $10, $15 a person, or, $500 for this charcuterie, extra large charcuterie board, you're still making the same amount, but maybe you don't have to provide. I mean, you're still charging the same amount, but
Yeah.
maybe you don't have to provide as much because they got five other things that they're serving along with that.
Right.
So just you got to ask the right questions with every event. So it's not as easy as just saying, either that or you'd leave it up to them. So like in our case, we do have people who just order from our website, which we, provide and we create. The website just gives you a choice for this size for these many people, you can
Right.
get this for that much money. So you have let the customer make the choice too. That
Right.
could be another way of doing it.
So
So,
let's go back because I actually skipped over one of the things that I wanted to talk about. And then when they told me they wanted this um, grazing table and they didn't give me any parameters at all, they just said, after I said no, don't do the cart, let's do the grazing table. I have a standard amount that I know that I charge for this, and that was $22. I charge $22 per head because, for one, I mean, I still got to put it all together as time. You got to add that up because the cost of what all the
mhm.
food's going to be, plus the time it's going to be put into this. Now, I'm doing this now by myself, although you were going to come down this weekend and help me out, but I wasn't going to be here anyway, long story. But
Right.
so when I'm adding it all up, so what I'm doing in this case is $22 a person plus travel time because I have to drive an hour from my house. So it's 2 hours, not to mention the amount that the time I'm going to be there ahead of time, at least an hour, if not an hour and a half ahead of time to get set up for when it gets started. So I should be able to simply get out or get everything done. The amount of prep time is probably going to, as far as I got to shop, which I don't think is going to take more than an hour and a half, if it's even that. Um, but I got to go to Costco and I need to go to Walmart, right? So that's my plan. Costco and Walmart. And then and I'll figure get some sort of greenery somewhere. The only problem is when I get back to that greenery is it's hard to find a big bunch of rosemary.
Yeah.
I can grow it here, but it's hard to find a big bunch of rosemary. So I
Yeah, I
love
know.
your idea of cutting the leaves of the leek leaves because that was
Yeah.
brilliant. That's really brilliant. You actually have a video out there somewhere. You should be able to
I
see
do. It's in
on
my
Instagram. It's on Instagram
on
actually.
I don't know if it's on Instagram. It might
It is.
be.
We
It
put it
is
there.
definitely on TikTok.
Yeah, look us up.
Because
Yeah.
that's during the Christmas season. That one has got the biggest
Yeah.
hits. I think I got a bazillion views on that one.
Yeah.
So yeah, you can definitely find it there under Chef Andrea Goodies. In either Instagram or
We have it
TikTok.
on our own Instagram for our Grazing Biz too out there.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah,
Okay.
Andrew doesn't
Wasn't
do the
sure.
marketing. As you can tell, Andrew doesn't do the
I'm
marketing on this.
terrible. I hate it. I
Fine.
hate it.
But
Patty does all
anyway,
that.
to get back to it though, as far as shopping and the cost and what I'm charging, $22 a head. Plus, I'm charging it for travel and setup time. So that ended up being like an additional $150 because I added $50 per hour basically to get there, get back, and set up. So they had no problem with that. I mean, they didn't complain. They paid it. And so, if any of is asking like, how did I get paid and what did we do? I did not write up a contract for this in this case because it wasn't huge. I literally did an invoice that broke down everything I was going to add. I didn't get overly specific on what I was going to add, other than, we're going to have appropriate greenery, seasonal
Yeah.
greenery, or you're going to get three different cheeses. I didn't even tell them exactly what cheeses because they didn't care. I mean, now if they came to me and said, I want this, this, and this, that'd be a different story.
Right.
Now, could you have these things already on your website that says for a 25 size standard grazing table, you could have two or three different types, premium, luxury, or whatever? Absolutely, especially if you're going to be like doing a wedding. I actually don't have all that stuff on our site because our site is more focused on our cart. And so the people that are contacting me and wanting us to help them, we're literally making stuff up as we're going along because our website focuses only on at least mine for the charcuterie side focuses only on the cart. We don't really, and I have some gifts, but I don't have a lot on the site for them to look at as far as other outside the box things. That doesn't mean we won't offer it. Um, so you have to decide, do you want to set, because I'm in the process right now of creating brand new website templates for everybody that are strictly going to be for charcuterie business. And we're going to have a whole nother version that is strictly for cottage food business owners. And so I'm in the process of creating all of those templates. We're going to have 10 different premium style templates. I'm just giving you a heads up because probably the next time we record our episode, we'll tell you how to get to those. You'll have an option just to get a simple but premium luxury site built for you that we will build for you, and it will be very, very, very affordable. So make sure that you hang out. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because as we're building the sites, there are little sections that you can say, okay, we offer grazing tables, we offer a cart, we offer cups, we offer boards. You know what it is you want to offer, but you don't have to offer everything under the sun, right? That's
Mm.
why our site only has information on it about gifts, gift boxes, and carts, because reality is that's, what I prefer to do, but it seems like, we've done a few cart jobs, which is fine, but you have to decide as a business owner what you want to offer. And if you're just getting started, you don't have to offer everything under the sun, and you don't have to say
Right.
yes to everything, because especially if you're overwhelmed with the whole idea of doing a 150 person grazing table, it sounds exciting, but when you get all said and done, especially it's the first time and you've never done this before, I venture to say, and I would hate to say it, but the truth of the matter is you're probably going to lose money right off the bat on something that big because you
Hmm.
just don't know what to expect. So take
Right.
on something smaller initially and get used to it a little bit. So what I'm realizing for me is that I can eyeball this way better now than I would anything, having to start from scratch and not
Hmm.
understanding, gosh, how much am I going to need to buy? I go to the store and buy 15 tons of that and 20 tons of that, and then find out I didn't even have room on the table for
I
for
know.
even half of that, right? So start small, and don't go out and try to practice either, because it's expensive. That's what I hate to say it. Practice on your family, but don't go out and buy stuff to
Yeah.
take pictures for your website. Nobody's going, when you're building your new site, nobody's going to be looking at it going, oh wait, that picture looks different than the one that I have over here on
Yeah.
this image. They're just not, people just, they don't even know what kind of cheese is what. I barely know what kind of cheese is what. So,
Yeah. Most
and a
of the
lot of
time
them are
you're
going to count
you're
on
you
you, right?
right. A lot of times I was just going to say that you're guiding them through the process versus
Yeah,
them telling you what they want. And, at the end of the day, every contract, every invoice, every website should have a disclaimer that this is, based on seasonality or availability or whatever. Because sometimes you go to the store and they don't freaking have whatever it is you're looking for. So,
right.
you always have to have that possibility of things just not being available and
Available.
having
Yeah,
that, yeah, having that in your information. And or if you're not doing invoicing and whatnot, because you're working with friends and family, always tell them, I'll do my best, and I'll try to get you what you want, but it may not be exactly. We
right.
wish it was the perfect world, but it's not. And especially now with things going on, you just never really know what's going to be
Hmm.
at the store when you get there. I mean, sometimes there isn't even leaks, or there's not this, or there's not that. I know we have
Or
that
you get there and
experience.
the
Or
strawberries look like cardboard,
look
and I've
terrible. Please don't put nasty food on there because you promised strawberries. Just
yeah,
come up with another option. Just
yeah,
please don't put Don't put things on there because you promised it. If it doesn't look good, then it's not going to be good, and that's going to reflect on you at the end of the day.
Right.
So make sure it's always good looking produce, good looking everything. You don't want,
Right.
yeah. I don't even
Now,
want
as
to get
far
into the
as
details of what could happen with that.
well, yeah, but as far as getting the money and sending the request for money and all of that, I see a lot of, what are you using to, get your money? Well, in this case, I mean, our system has invoicing software in it, has invoicing tools in it. So I literally can write an invoice up and send it automatically through the system and have it all bill automatically. They just click on a payment thing. But if you're one of those people, I mean, obviously we have that. You want to come to us. If you really want to get professional with all of this, definitely come to us. On the other hand, you set up a PayPal account. Do I love Venmo? Venmo is owned by PayPal, but I mean, I would be a little more professional and not Venmo. I would go to PayPal. You can set up a free account over there. And then you can create your invoices and everything and send the invoice out from that. So
Hmm.
you have your choices to be able, but I'm getting payment up front. Definitely for everything. If
Hmm.
they start booking way in advance, you can take a deposit to hold the time and the date for yourself. But in this case, this event, I didn't even start it. I didn't even send the invoice until a week ago. So I just had them pay by Friday and I sent the invoice out. Boom, it was paid. Now I've got all the money I need to go shopping with and for whatever else, if I have to buy gas or plug in my car or whatever in this case. But
Hmm.
so, and don't definitely do not start doing this unless you have money in hand because number one, you have no guarantee you're going to get paid all the time if you're just doing it by a handshake. But
Yeah.
also, you need to look more professional. Realistically, if you want to
Hmm.
make this a real business for yourself, on top of the fact if you're keeping track for tax purposes or whatever, I'm not going to get into all that, but definitely make sure that you've got your systems lined up to be able to look more professional so that you can get this done on more automation. Our system actually can set up like a two or three payment plan type thing. It'll automatically send invoices out to them on the dates that you tell it ahead of time. So that's nice. But in the plan, you just want to be sure that you've got your system set up to be able to get paid and make sure that you're not out spending out of your own pocket, ideally, and then try to get money after the fact out of people. We had a couple of situations
Hmm.
like
Hmm.
that in the past where we don't want to have to be chasing our money down after we've already spent it all to go buy the food that's already been eaten up or thrown away or whatever. So highly recommended that you do that. And if you really want to make this a full-blown, really serious business, it's time for you to get your website up. So make sure that we offer services for all of this. We still do. I'm just setting up some new templates, but if you're all interested, you can go into the show notes here, go to grazingbiz.com, watch a demo of what we offer and what we help. We're going to be rolling out these new sites and there'll be a whole new domain for those. And I hope by the next week, if we're able to get our next podcast episode, I should be able to share all that with you next week. It's exciting because I don't believe there's anyone else out there doing strictly charcuterie websites and for cottage biz specifically. And so you'll be able to pick out your own template, pick out what you need so you can actually get a legitimate online business going and get paid online, take orders online, and confirmation via email, texting, all that stuff. And if you want to kick AI in, we've got all that built into it too. So you have great opportunities, but let's just make it simple for you. Get a new website up and running and start to look real pro. I can tell you because I've been doing a ton of research on the different websites that everybody has out there. Most of them are crap. I don't know. And I
Hmm.
just saw somebody built one on Shopify, which was kind of interesting. I didn't know that people would build a Shopify food store, but I guess it's possible because I saw it. But it's interesting. But you don't
Yeah.
need, you can get way better, much more professional looking sites out there than that from us. And so stay
Hmm.
tuned if you're in the market. Did we cover? I think we covered almost everything I want. I mean, we could go on
Yeah,
for
I think
hours
so.
about what to put
Yeah.
into this, but
Oh, we can go on for hours literally about anything in
anything.
this category. So, or
Yeah,
anything. But
yeah.
yeah, I think we hit everything that we needed to hit on for this episode, and we'll expand on it,
Yeah, we always do.
moving forward.
Yeah,
Yeah, we always
exactly.
do. We always do. So,
Well, sister, onward
Yeah,
and upward to the next event. And I know you're getting ready for
that's
your
right.
next market coming up here. Where's that going to
Yeah,
be? In Prescott? Is that going to be in
I
Prescott?
am
Where
going
is
to
that?
be in downtown Prescott
All
at
right.
the Courthouse Square. If anybody knows Prescott, Arizona, there's a big
Hmm.
square down there. It's beautiful. We have a beautiful courthouse. It kind of looks like the Back to the Future looking courthouse, and there's trees, big old trees.
Yeah,
It's beautiful. So come on up.
it'd be
I will be
nice.
there June 7th and 8th, and
Oh, nice.
hopefully the weather won't be hotter than hell. We're praying that we stay in the 80s. And yeah, so that's where I'll be. I'm going to have dips this time. So yay.
Yeah, dips. So
Um,
dried dips and dried soups. Love
yeah,
it. Yeah,
yep, yep,
going.
yep. Along with all my other little goodie gifts, things,
Hmm.
fun food, foodie type of gifts.
Andrea's foodie
So
gifts.
yeah, it'll be fun. I'm excited
Nice.
about it because I have never, even though I live up here, guys, I live up here in the Prescott Sedona area. I have never done one on the square. So this will be my, first time doing an actual craft fair. We did a charcuterie thing last year, which, if those of you have been listening to us, was
Go back
fun
and
and
listen to that one.
exhausting and disastrous and lots of different things all at once. But it's still good times. But it was brutal. Um,
Because the weather
Anywho,
was
yeah,
shitty. That's what
yeah,
happened.
it
It was
was
rainy and
monsoon
hot.
season. Like,
No.
okay, never again. It
Well,
was
I hope you
hot.
don't have
Yeah.
that problem when you're up there this time, but you got
Well, it
a
won't
lot
be
better setup.
rainy. Yeah, it won't be rainy. This is a totally different setup. I don't have to deal with trying to
Yeah.
keep food cold. That's going to be helpful.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. We don't
Yeah.
have you don't have the health department coming around.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Guy was
All
nice.
right. All right,
Anyways,
sister.
all right. Well,
Love
cool.
you. We'll talk to you
Yeah,
later.
love
See you
you
all next
too.
time. Hang out,
Bye,
peeps.
guys.
Bye.